Today I'm on a mission to create the most productive space possible. I want this room to be perfect for gaming, live streaming and creating videos. So that's why today we're looking at this 18-inch portable monitor, which I'm hoping completely changes my setup. So this is my current setup here. I've got a standard 1080p 27-inch monitor on my left. The main monitor I use is this one, which is an OLED 27-inch 1440p monitor. And finally, I have the Elgato prompter on my right here for reading chat or scripts when I'm making videos. And yes, I'm well aware that a lot of you might say that this is a perfectly good setup. It's fine as is and might even be better than the one that you have, which might be true. But as someone who creates a lot of vertical content, I need a setup which helps me make content for that specific platform. And right now, having horizontal monitors doesn't work great, especially when I'm trying to screen record for like tutorials and stuff for TikTok. So I'm hoping to fix that problem by adding this portable monitor to my setup, and this is the Uperfect UGame K118. So if you do decide to get one of these for your setup, you're obviously going to get the monitor itself, as well as a mini HDMI to HDMI cable, 2 USB-C to USB-C cables, a power adapter, and finally some paperwork. Oh, and the monitor also comes in this like smart case, which one obviously keeps it safe when you're traveling with it, but also can double as like a portable stand. Before we get into all the specs and what this monitor can actually do, I do want to mention that Uperfect sent this out for me to check out and make a video on, but they haven't paid me or anything, so all the opinions in here are going to be my own. This is an 18-inch portable monitor with a 2560 by 1600 2K resolution screen. It has up to 144hz refresh rate, as well as support for HDR and FreeSync, which makes this pretty perfect for both productivity and gaming. The monitor itself only weighs just over a kilo, which makes it perfect to transport and travel with, and because of its simple I/O, it's easy to connect and use with pretty much any device you'd need. It has a mini HDMI input which transfers both audio and video. It has 2 USB-C ports which can be used to power the screen, as well as send video signals. It's got a headphone jack for audio, obviously, and finally a scroll wheel for changing all the settings on the screen. Most people who pick up a monitor like this are doing it because of the travel purposes. They want it to be portable, easy to take anywhere with them, and you can play games, watch movies, do more work or whatever, and not need a million different cables to make it work with your tablet or laptop. Which is exactly what I did here. I have my laptop plugged directly into the screen just using a single USB-C cable, and I'm able to have like content or a podcast or something on one screen while I'm also playing games and doing other stuff on the second one. All of which running at a pretty solid 144hz at 2K resolution, which honestly looks pretty great. A couple of things I briefly want to mention though is when you first turn this on and plug it in with the single cable, it will be kind of dim, so you're going to have to turn the brightness up to get it to a level that you will enjoy, especially in brighter rooms. However, on certain PCs or certain laptops and stuff, you might actually need an additional cable to power it so that it doesn't flicker or have any kind of connection issues. Personally, I didn't run into this power issue when using this monitor with my laptop, but if you're someone that's using like an older laptop, or if you've got a lot of peripherals and other things plugged into it while using this monitor, you might need that additional cable or additional power to make sure that you don't have like connection issues with this. Obviously, playing games and watching movies on a monitor like this is pretty great, but for me, the 2K resolution of this monitor comes in really handy for productivity. Sure, the monitor might only be 18 inches, but because of that resolution, I can actually use multiple programs on the screen at the same time and not really lose that much detail or clarity and still understand everything that's kind of happening. Which is one of the main reasons why I was interested in a monitor like this in the first place, because obviously I've got my horizontal monitors for doing my like video editing or like other productivity stuff that's horizontal, but this type of monitor I want to use for like live streaming or making videos on TikTok and stuff like that. So having all that kind of detail available at that 2K resolution is going to be pretty great in a monitor this size. A couple of things I forgot to mention earlier on, that obviously this monitor can work with next-gen consoles, PS5, Xbox, whatever, but I'm more of a PC gamer and don't own consoles, so I unfortunately can't show you in this video. And also the monitor has inbuilt speakers, which obviously is great for travel and portable setups, but they aren't exactly the highest quality. So if you're using this monitor, try to use headphones or dedicated speakers, or even the laptop ones instead, because these ones are okay, but not the best.
So far in this video, we've spoke a lot about how awesome this portable monitor is and how useful it can be for gaming, content creation, and just general travel. But how am I going to be using it in my actual setup? Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty happy with my setup mostly, but the issue is I make two different types of content. I make horizontal content, which this setup is perfect for, but I also make TikTok content, which is the reason I wanted this like portable monitor in the first place, so I can have a vertical setup, so when I screen record stuff, it's a decent quality and I don't have to crop in loads. And I hear some of you saying, why not just change one of your horizontal screens to vertical? And the issue with that is my camera position is here, so I don't really get to see the screen because it'll be all the way down there. Or if I moved it to the other side of this main monitor, it'll end up blocking my camera and stuff, and then that just doesn't work very well. If I was in a bigger room, it'd be much easier to set up. So the plan is to obviously take this portable monitor here and then place it in the gap between my main monitor and my camera, which obviously isn't exactly the biggest gap in the world. It's barely bigger than my hand, which means I'd never be able to fit a 24 or 27-inch monitor in here, hence why this 18-inch portable monitor pretty much the perfect size for that gap. Not to mention, this specific monitor is ideal because I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but it has VESA screws or VESA mount holes on the back, which means I can mount it to pretty much any or most standard monitor arms, which I've already attached one here. So all I have to do is to screw this into the arm and have a pretty good setup.
Overall, I am genuinely happy and impressed with how good this monitor looks and functions in my setup. And I understand most people are going to pick up a monitor like this for gaming or travel. But for my needs, this 18-inch monitor is ideal for creating content or being a third screen for my setup, especially in this smaller space, because I've really been struggling for the longest time to get a setup that's both practical and looks good on camera, because obviously I shoot a lot of videos in here, so having a monitor like this is a perfect addition to my setup. Obviously it's not all sunshine and roses and stuff though, it's not the perfect monitor ever. One thing I wish was slightly better is the color accuracy. I'm not saying it's terrible, but as someone who makes a lot of content and color grades in photos and videos and stuff like that, the color accuracy could be a little better, but obviously it's not a high-end editing monitor, so I'd never expect it to be perfect for that type of stuff. And I've got my good monitors for actual color correction anyway, but I just thought I'd let you know that the colors look good, they're quite vibrant and stuff like that, but they do look slightly different from my slightly more calibrated professional monitors instead. Another thing I was going to complain about, but I don't need to anymore, I was going to say that I'm disappointed that this screen doesn't have a dedicated power button, because obviously I didn't mention it earlier on. However, after faffing around for a while and playing with options and stuff, I realized that you can just hold the scrolly wheel thing. If you push it down and hold it for a few seconds, then it actually works as a power button. Don't know why that's not in the menus or in the manual or anything, but I'm glad it's there. I just wish it was a little bit clearer communicated that there is an actual power option, because I was getting so annoyed at the fact that obviously all my other monitors have off switches or ways to turn it off, but in this one I literally had to unplug it or go into the Windows options and settings and literally disconnect the display. So I'm glad there is a power option that I can just turn it off and be happy with it that way. And finally, when I was researching this monitor before it arrived at my door and stuff, I saw a lot of people asking about light leaks and light bleeding and stuff like that. And honestly, this monitor isn't terrible for it. Normally, obviously cheaper monitors and stuff like that do often have issues with light leak around the edges and stuff, especially in darker scenes, because the backlight will come through. But mildly impressed that this doesn't really happen too much. The only time I can really see it is if I'm actually pushing on the screen, which is something you shouldn't really be doing anyway, but I thought I'd test it to see what it looks like, and that's the only time I can really see the backlights. So genuinely, it's not going to be a big issue. I thought it'd be worse. It's not. It's okay. If you are interested in this monitor though, or maybe picking one up for yourself, usually they go for around £300. I think it's 298. However, Uperfect did give me a discount code, which I'll leave the link to down below. But if you use that, then I think you can get £30 off your order, which isn't too bad. Anyway, hopefully this video was useful for you. I am so happy with how this monitor fits in my setup. If you do have any questions or queries or anything about this monitor, please leave them in the comments down below. As always though, if you enjoyed this video and found it somewhat helpful, remember to smash that like button down below. It will really help me out with the algorithm gods, and I need all the help I can get right now. And if you are interested in more tech videos, content creation, filmmaking, that type of stuff, check out this video here, and I'll see you all in the next one.